Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Siobhan Eber, and this is Oscars Obsession, BAFTA edition. Oh my God, here we go. British Academy, what's gonna happen? It's Conclave versus the Brutalist, I think. I'm excited to see this on BritBox. I didn't get to see the BAFTAs last year. I'm going to be making my predictions for the winners at BAFTA. I have some really crazy thoughts.
Are you crazy? Are you?
At least in one or two categories, I think I'm going to cause some controversy here. If the first one I'm going to come up with, I think people are going to be like, what the heck are you thinking, Siobhan? But anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you like what you see. Out for those PGAs and DGAs with Anora winning, the CCA saying Anora's best film. I was so excited for Anora. I think Anora has a chance with a few categories here, and one in particular I think is going to shock people when I say it. But if I get it right, I'll do my happy dance. I am going to be using the Awards Expert app this video and moving forward for all predictions because I find it to be very convenient and fun to use. And I just want to see like that correlation in real time, and then also getting to see what the community thinks, the film community, with Awards Expert. And so yeah, I'm going to be using that, and let's get into it. All right, using the Awards Expert app, let's get into Best Supporting Actor. Now, I put everything back into the original order that it was in because I want to show you guys in real time what I'm thinking for each one. Now, I'm going to make a wild, cuckoo, crazy pants, wild, insano prediction. It's not really a prediction. It's a personal preference. It's a high hope. I really want this to happen. Yura Borisov for Anora. I think if Mikey can't win at Best Actress, I think if casting is very debatable for Anora, and Anora is going to be underperforming a little bit at BAFTA because it's not really a BAFTA type movie. And I think that if Alan Arkin can win for Little Miss Sunshine over someone like James McAvoy in The Last King of Scotland, over Michael Sheen for The Queen, if Barry Keoghan can win for Banshees of Inisherin, which is really comparing apples to oranges here. But anyway, that was a surprise one, by the way. Like, no one was really like, oh, if anything, it would have been Brendan Gleeson, right? But yeah, I have Yura Borisov at number 1. I am putting Guy Pearce at number 2, who I think might actually win here. If it's not Kieran Culkin, I have Kieran Culkin at number 3. I just feel like A Real Pain, it's not, a Best Picture movie. And I have a really hard time believing that he can continue winning for a film that's not in Best Picture. It's possible. I mean, at least with Oscars, I think the last time that happened was Christopher Plummer for Beginners. With BAFTA, I think it's different. I'm going to go into BAFTA now and see. Yeah, for BAFTA as well. The last time that a Best Supporting Actor won at BAFTA was Christopher Plummer for Beginners, and that was like we had to award Christopher Plummer something. I mean, he was getting up there in age, and Beginners is a good movie, but yeah, A Real Pain. I just had my doubts here. And it's not a transformative performance. It's a good performance. But I also have a really unpopular opinion that I don't think Kieran Culkin should be here in Best Supporting Actor at all at the Oscars. I think Clarence Macklin deserved to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor over Kieran Culkin because that performance made me cry. And nothing about A Real Pain really stirred emotions in me. Even that scene in the restaurant, even those other scenes, like one in the graveyard, he does a good job in the film, but I just think that giving a Karen Culkin award for this movie feels wrong. So I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to put Clarence Macklin last. And I'm going to put Jeremy Strong behind Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. I kind of was thinking maybe I could put him at number 4, but I'm going to leave him at number 5. So my final prediction for Best Supporting Actor at BAFTA this year is Yura Borisov for Anora. And if I win, I'm going to do my little dance. All right, now let's get into Best Supporting Actress. So, yeah. I think that BAFTA is going to continue the sweep for Zoe Saldana here. I don't see any reason to believe that they won't. They love Amelia Perez. Even with the controversies, I think that she's been the one that's been handling it the best. She's become the face of Amelia Perez. And I think enough people had made up their mind already. My number two is Felicity Jones because I think that The Brutalist is more well received than Wicked. It's in Best Picture, Wicked is not. And Wicked's not in Best Casting either. So I have Ariana Grande at number three. At number four, I have Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, even though I think Conclave is going to be probably winning Best Film at BAFTA. I think that role is a little bit too small. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's something else in Isabella Rossellini, like a leading performance that could possibly down the road come out and win. Maybe not, but yeah. And then Gomez, last. It's not winning. I would see Jamie Lee Curtis winning for The Last Showgirl over Selena Gomez in that movie. And as many of you know, I don't have a problem with Selena Gomez in that film, but she's in my number six. So for my final prediction for Best Supporting Actress at BAFTA this year, I have Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, with the alternate being Felicity Jones in The Brutalist. Now let's move on to two categories that are intrinsically linked. So we have animated film and best children's and family film. Now it's a little bit weird to me that they have this category children's and family film, but they don't have a live action film listed. I thought Young Woman in the Sea would get in at number five. I guess there was just four nominations this year. Let's start with Best Animated Film. Now, I've been seeing a lot of folks saying that Wild Robot's going to win here. I disagree. I think that's my number three. And it's honestly hard to reconcile this because I've been looking at the history of animated films winning at BAFTA, and it's almost always been United States productions of animated films winning. And I want to put The Wild Robot at number one, but I have it winning somewhere else. I'm going to put Inside Out at number four and Wallace and Gromit at number two, with Flow winning Best Animated Feature at BAFTA. I think that, when I look at the community, they're saying Flow is number three. I disagree. I highly disagree. I think that Flow is going to win Best Animated Feature to continue that race, sort of, right? To continue the race between Flow and Wild Robot, because I think those are the two that are going head to head. And I just believe, yeah, it's gonna win here. So let's go to Best Children and Family Film. Is it here in the Awards Expert app? No. So it's not at the Award Expert app, but first of all, animated film. It ended in 1957 and resumed for 2005. That was after Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were Rabbit did so well and won the Oscar. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's why they resumed the animated film, because they were like, oh, we need to bring this back. We have some great animated films. But ever since then, they never awarded Wallace and Gromit or Shaun the Sheep or Chicken Run, anything in animated film. So I'm like wondering, like, are we putting this category in to give that win to those kind of films that they could produce and release? But for me, I think The Wild Robot is going to win here because I think the Flow is not like the film that you bring your kids to, really. I mean, if I had kids, being the big film person that I am, loving art house, loving those like really against the grain animated kind of films. Yeah, I'm bringing my kids to both Flow and The Wild Robot, and honestly, all of them. But yeah, I just feel like The Wild Robot is gonna win here, and Wallace and Gromit's a close number two. At number three, I have Flow. And then at number four, I have Kensuke's Kingdom. I just don't see that being a winner at all. So, yeah, my final prediction for best children or family film is The Wild Robot. All right, let's get into best foreign language film and then go into British debut because I think they're a little bit linked here, and you'll see why in a second. So, let's start with foreign language film. Now, as much as I want to put Kneecap here, as much as I want to put All We Imagine as Light here, I just, for the sake of me, think that they're going to conflict in terms of number ones for the British Academy. And I think that Amelia Perez, because it is in Best Film, and because I don't truly believe they care about controversy around the film, I'm leaving it as number one. And I'm going to have All We Imagine Light as number three, with Kneecap at number two. I'm still here. I just think that what I've been seeing online, that a lot of folks were not even watching I'm Still Here up until the deadline for the British Academy. So I have it pretty low on the totem pole. Do I think it has a chance at the Oscar? I think it wins the Oscar, honestly. But yeah, and then The Seed of the Sacred Fig I have dead last. That's too bad. For Best Foreign Language Film, I think it's going to be going to Amelia Perez. And I think the community can say also, I think they're completely wrong with I'm Still Here. It's not going to be winning or being number two. But yeah, Amelia Perez is definitely going to be winning Best Foreign Language Film at BAFTA this year. I don't like that. I wish it was Kneecap. I wish it was maybe All We Imagine Is Light, but I can't for the sake of me just putting All We Imagine Is Light there and having it break my heart again after Critics' Choice. After that Critics' Choice win for Amelia Perez over All We Imagine Is Light, I was truly devastated. So yeah, I'm going to keep it there because I don't want to be heartbroken again. So let's move on to Best British Debut. Now, I think this is a race between two films. And I'm giving this award to the debut where it's a writer director and not just a director. I think that Kneecap is close to a masterpiece and is a great debut. It's written directed by Rich Pepiat, and it is just so original and daring and talking about the struggles in such a like clever and cool way. The editing's really good, and we saw it longlisted at BAFTA. So I have it definitely winning here for Best British Debut. And I'm going to put Monkey Man at number two because they love Dev Patel. As you might know, Dev Patel won Best Supporting Actor for Lion back then. So I have it at number two. I'm putting Santosh at number three. I'm leaving Horde at number four with Sister Midnight at five. So my final prediction for Best British Debut is Kneecap. All right, now let's get into Best Documentary. Yeah, I think that it's hard for me to really get a good sense of what's gonna win here. I'm just gonna go with my gut and put No Other Land at the top. I think it sweeps all season. I think it's just the most important documentary of the year based on the current state of the world. But I think Black Box Diaries could upset here. I have Superman at number three, William Harper at number four, and Daughters at number five. And yeah, I just struggle with documentaries sometimes. I don't see soundtrack to a coup d'etat here. And I think that's something that could upset No Other Land at Oscars. But yeah, Black Box Diaries does have a chance, but I think No Other Land is just the documentary to beat this season. And there's no Sugar King here either. So I'm going to go with No Other Land as my final prediction for Best Documentary at BAFTA this year. So let's get into all of these technical categories. I am all over the place here, I have to admit. Let's start at production design. Now, I think that BAFTA is going to follow suit with what's been happening all year with production design for sure. Let me look at my list for the order. All right, yeah. So I'm going to be putting Wicked at number one. I think it's a lock for production design. I don't I don't think that Dune wins here. In fact, I don't even have it at number two. I have Nosferatu at number two because that is an immersive world. I think the production design for that is brilliant, among other things. I do have Dune at number four and then Conclave at number three, just because it is going to be performing pretty well at BAFTA. And The Brutalist at number five. I don't see it winning production design at all. At the beginning, like a couple months ago, I was like, oh, maybe Brutalist wins because it's a movie about architecture. But no, I don't think so. I think that it's more of a cinematography film. So I'm leaving it dead last. I'm putting Wicked at number one, with Nosferatu being a possible upset. Now, I know the community is looking and saying something completely different than me. Still having Wicked at number one, Dune being a close number two. No, I just don't agree with that. I think that the British Academy relates more with Nosferatu than Dune Part Two, even though Denis Villeneuve is in Best Director. Yeah, I have a hard time believing it's going to be getting production design this year. And I think if anything spoils, it will be Nosferatu. So my final prediction for Best of Production Design is Wicked. Now let's get into costume design. I have a pretty bold guess here, and it's just because looking about through the history of the BAFTA, they love their period dramas for costume design. So I just feel like I wanted to put Wicked at number one and Nosferatu at number two, and then Conclave at number three, and then Blitz at number four, and Uncomplete on number five. But I just feel like next year's a better year for Wicked for costume design, and I'm putting Nosferatu at number one because those costumes were immaculate. Yeah, and I think that Nosferatu just resonates more with the British Academy personally. So I'm putting Nosferatu as my prediction for best costume design this year. And I have Wicked at number two. And I know the community disagrees with me, but I mean, by a lot. I mean, 3% win. That's, I guess, I don't know. I just see Nosferatu winning, and I don't know why. It's just that it's a period film, and I can't remember the last time a fantasy musical won best costume design, really. So I'm leaving it there. I mean, even Chicago, did Chicago win best costume design? Did La La Land win best costume design? Did Les Miserables win best costume design? Let me go into it. Let me go into it now. No. The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers won over Chicago. No, I'm putting Nosferatu. I think they love their period dramas more than Wicked. And I think Wicked could be next year. I think next year they'll be like, okay, Wicked, you did good, but Nosferatu is not happening again. And I think they're gonna want to give it to Nosferatu. So my final prediction for best of costume design is Nosferatu, with Wicked coming in just behind. Wicked might probably win, but I'm putting Nosferatu. Why not, right? So let's move on to best makeup in here. Now, I think it's pretty obvious who's going to be winning best makeup in here. It is The Substance. There's no one else winning this year. It's the best one. Like, there's no other film here that could possibly win except maybe Nosferatu. But yeah, I think that The Substance is gonna run away with this category. I have Wicked at number three, and then I have Dune Part Two at number four with Amelia Perez at number five. So that's my final prediction. I have The Substance as winning Best Makeup and Hair at BAFTA this year, with Nosferatu as a close number two. Saving it. And the community agrees with me. Oh, okay. When I do my final predictions, I look and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It doesn't really influence me because I think the community um, doesn't always get it right. And that's just my opinion. All right, let's move on to best visual effects. Now, I've been struggling with this one because obviously I think that Dune Part 2 is the clear winner for visual effects. But Better Man. I mean, Better Man's a British film. They love it. It didn't do well here in the United States, so I don't think it wins at Oscars. But I think it could be an upset. I have Gladiator 2 dead last with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes at number three. So we have our three monkey movies in the middle, Gladiator 2 book ending with Dune Part 2. And that just feels right to me, but I think that Better Man does have a chance here. And if it wins Best Visual Effects anywhere, it would be here. But I just think that Dune Part 2 is going to win. It's undeniable. I mean, you look at the visual effects there. It doesn't even look like visual effects to me. It looks like real life. And that's what I like to see in a film. I don't like when the film feels like visual effects, like in Better Man or Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Even Wicked, I feel like was a little bit too visual effecty. There's a lot of green screen going on, CGI. So yeah, Dune Part 2 feels like the obvious choice for me. And Gladiator 2 wasn't a good movie. So they're not gonna give it visual effects, I don't believe. Saving it. What does the community think? They have Wicked dead last, but no. Gladiator 2, not happening. All right, let's move on to best sound. Now, I had Wicked at my top for a while with Dune Part 2, number 2. Then I had The Substance, and then I had Blitz and Gladiator 2. But I don't know. I don't know if BAFTA goes with Wicked for sound. I think that it has a better chance at the Oscars for sound. The Substance, as much as I want it to win Best Sound because it's not nominated at the Oscars, I just think that we're going to be going with Dune Part 2 here. I think that has an extremely impressive sound mixing, sound editing, and I think the British Academy is going to look at that. And they're also going to feel bad that they didn't nominate it for Best Picture, and they're going to award it a lot of technicals, and it's going to be true here as well. So that is my final prediction for Best Sound. And yeah, the community thinks the substance is dead last. I think it's much higher than that. But yeah, this is my prediction. Dune Part 2 is my final prediction for best sound this year at BAFTA, with Wicked being my alternate. All right, okay. Best original score. Now, I think that I really struggled with this one because I can understand that folks want to think that Conclave is going to win Best Original Score here. And I don't blame them. I mean, if you look at who won Best Original Score when All Quiet on the Western Front won Best Film, yeah, if you look at the past, few years, it went to Dune, it went to All Quiet on the Western Front, it went to Oppenheimer. Do I think that Conclave has a chance? I think it's really 50-50. I think it's really, really 50-50 here, and it's really hard to call. Also, Amelia Perez has a chance, I believe. But I am basically going to put Wild Robot at number 4 over Nosferatu, and I'm leaving it this way. The Brutalist score, first of all, I think British folks have a better taste for classical music than Americans. And I just want to believe, when I look at All Quiet on the Western Front, they put it over Babylon. I think All Quiet on the Western Front was the best score that year besides Babylon. The Brutalist score, I know some folks are saying, I was listening in on something the other day, and someone was saying, well, people don't really like the Brutalist as much over here as Conclave, and Conclave really drives that. The score there really drives the film forward, and they love Volker Barthelman. They're just going to give it to him again, and it's going to line up with Best Picture as well. But the Brutalist score, I don't think people understand that score. There's something called variations on original theme in classical music, and I think that score, without that score, that film doesn't have as much emotional impact than it could. And I'm in love with that score. Now, do I believe that a track called Hand Job could influence the British to be like, ooh, I don't know about that? Maybe. I just feel like the best original score of the year, if Challengers isn't here, the best original score is The Brutalist by Daniel Blumberg. It is beautiful. It is an amazing score. And I think what he did with the themes and putting it into kind of like different instrumentations, putting it into different genres of music. Like by the end, we're into like that more modern variation on the themes. It just has an emotional impact. Like Conclave's music, it is what drives the film forward, but I think The Brutalist just has the better score. I'm putting it here. If Conclave wins, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me look at what the community says. They also say The Brutalist, so that surprises me a little bit. Oh, they have the same order as me. Okay, so maybe I'm right. I don't know. My final prediction for Best Original Score at BAFTA this year is The Brutalist by Daniel Blumberg, with Conclave as my alternate by Volker Bertelmann. All right, let's move on to Best Cinematography. Now, I know that it was announced. When was this announced? February 2nd, that The Brutalist won the British Society of Cinematographers Feature Film Award. And I was thinking, like, oh, Conclave isn't at the Oscars. Well, maybe they can put it at Dune Part 2, maybe Nosferatu. Well, I'm putting Brutalist at number 1. I just feel like that cinematography is super impressive. And if the British Society of Cinematographers Feature Film Award goes to the Brutalist, then I think it's going to line up there. I'll have Nosferatu at number 2, I'm gonna have Dune Part 2 at number 3. It has great cinematography. It should be higher up, but this is just such a strong year. I have Conclave at number 4. It's not nominated for an Oscar, so I have it a little bit lower on the totem pole, but you never know what could happen. And then I have Amelia Perez dead last. I just think that this gets in pretty much everywhere, but it's not like a winner anywhere at all. Let's see what the community says. Same as what I predict. Yep. I have the Brutalist winning with Nosferatu not close behind. And yeah, so that's our final prediction. The Brutalist wins Best Cinematography, Low Crawley. And a good runner up is Nosferatu. So let's move on to Best Editing. Now, I have something very predictable here. I mean, I was going back and forth quite a bit. I was thinking maybe Anora could win Best Editing here and just break into the race for the Best Editing category in terms of Oscars. But then I was like, I don't think so. I think that if we're going to be giving a Best Film to the Brutalist or Conclave, and the Brutalist isn't here, then it must be Conclave, right? So I'm moving Conclave to number 1 here. And I do have Anora at number 2. I think it's very likely that it could win at Best Editing. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I mean, maybe they just see the film and think, you know what, we're going to give it Best Editing. We're not going to give it Best Film, we're going to give it Best Editing. And the rest of these, I think they're in line. I think Dune Part 2 has a good chance as well, but I just don't think that Dune Part 2 is going to perform well at editing. It didn't get nominated for an Oscar this year, and that was a little troubling when that didn't happen. Also, Amelia Perez, yeah, I mean, I didn't have it last. I had it fourth here. Um, yeah, Amelia Perez, I have it fourth here, but just above Kneecap. I think they're kind of tied, honestly. But yeah, I think that it's just between Conclave, Anora, and Dude Part 2. And Conclave is gonna win Best Film probably here at BAFTA. We'll see if it's that film. Now I'm looking here at the community. They think that Dude Part 2 is gonna win Best Editing at BAFTA. I mean, maybe it could. Conclave second. Yeah, well, Conclave's my first. Anora number 4. Amelia Perez over Anora? I don't think so, guys. I think you're dead wrong. I'm gonna go back to mine. Yeah, I think Conclave is gonna win Best Editing here. My prediction for Best Editing this year at BAFTA is Conclave with Anora as my runner-up, and that's my final prediction. All right, let's get into the screenplay nominations. Now, I'm gonna start out with original screenplay. Now, I had The Substance as my winner for screenplay for a little bit. I was going back and forth between Anora and The Substance, but yeah, the last time that a screenplay that won Best Original Screenplay that was not nominated at BAFTA for Best Film was In Bruges, and that is definitely like a British film. It was also nominated for British film, and The Substance is not nominated for anything in terms of film. It's just in director. Now, do I think Corley Fargeat has a path at original screenplay better than director? Yes, absolutely. I mean, she won Critics' Choice, but Honora is the front runner. I said, you know what? You're being dumb, Siobhan. Like Honora's gonna win Best Original Screenplay at BAFTA. It just is. It's nominated for Best Film, so put it there. Put it there. I have Honora at number 1. And I do have Corley Fargeat for The Substance at number 2. And number 3, I'm putting Kneecap. I think people are underestimating Kneecap. That reminds me of that In Bruges uh, nomination or win back when that won Best Original Screenplay. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. I just think the competition is too strong this year. So, and Bruges was also nominated for an Oscar. So Kneecap, I don't see winning, but it could be in contention. Number 4, I have A Real Pain. I think it has a better chance at the Oscars, but with the British Academy, I don't see it resonating as much. Even with that Kieran Culkin possible win for BAFTA, that I don't think is going to happen anyway. I have it at number 4, and then I have The Brutalist at number 5. It just doesn't seem like a screenplay that they want to give an award to, and that's why later down the road, I'm explaining why The Brutalist is not going to be winning Best Film probably. Now let's get into Best Adapted Screenplay. This one, Conclave is winning, no doubt about it. If something like Amelia Perez wins, I'd be completely shocked. I think that past couple of days I've been looking into the script itself, and there are some really crazy shit in that script, like in terms of story that making me kind of angry. And I like the film for what it is, but I think that to award Amelia Perez best screenplay would be a sin, and we shouldn't do it. I like the film as a film, as a technical experience, as an acting tour de force. But there's some really crazy, provocative things in that screenplay that feels. I mean, I thought Teuton was provocative. I mean, but when you see, and especially with the trans community, when we see like, there's like I was made aware of this. I completely didn't realize that the age difference between Amelia Perez and Jesse. And that is not something that we need in the trans community representing us right now. So don't give it to Jack, please. I do have it number two, though. I think that the British Academy probably doesn't care about any of that. They probably hardly read the script anyway. And number three, I have Sing Sing. Number four, I have Nickel Boys. And number five, I have A Complete Unknown. It doesn't matter. Conclave is winning here. If it doesn't win, I'll be surprised. So my final prediction for best adapted screenplay is Conclave, Peter Strawn. Number two, alternate, I have Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez. I'm moving on to acting categories now and casting. I'm beginning with casting. And I do believe that BAFTAs of all places are going to follow that trend that we've been seeing in terms of ensemble work. Conclave has been dominating. Wicked isn't here. I think Wicked has a little bit of a chance at SAG, and Anora is probably the favorite to win at SAG at this point. But looking into casting, I think that Conclave is the clear winner here. That's my number one. I think Anora could upset. I have A Complete Unknown at number three because it is a biopic and it was more well received than The Apprentice. Here at BAFTA, I got into Best Film. So I have that at number three. And I was struggling to think if Kneecap or Apprentice are going to be my number four or five pick. I'm putting Kneecap just at number four because I think they're tied, but Kneecap has more nominations than The Apprentice here at BAFTA, and it is going to be winning that Best British Debut, in my opinion. I think that there will be no upset there. It could also win Best British Film, but yeah, I think that the casting there is perfect as well. So I'm putting it number four and The Apprentice at number five. But I think they're truly tied, and I don't think it matters at the end of the day. I think this is between Conclave and Anora, maybe even A Complete Unknown, who knows? But I have a different plan for A Complete Unknown, and we'll see in just a second. So my final prediction for best casting is Conclave, with Anora coming up just short as my alternate for best casting at the BAFTAs, and that is my final prediction there. So I'm going to save that. And then let's move on to Best Actor. Best Actor has been a big stumper for me. I've been wondering, are we going to have an Adrian Brody sweep? Are we going to go with Ray Fiennes because he's a British actor, is way overdue for that lead actor performance, even though he won that supporting actor performance for Schindler's List. What was that, 32 years ago, 33 years ago? Came out in what, 1993? So that's 32 years ago, 31 years ago. I think that he does have a chance here. And I honestly had him at number one. And I had Chalamet at number two because I just feel like Adrian Brody isn't as loved by the British Academy. But they may make up for that Pianist Best Actor snub back in 2004 for The Pianist. And The Pianist did win Best Picture that year at BAFTA. So it was a little surprising that Daniel Day-Lewis won for Gangs of New York. Not the biggest surprise. Daniel Day-Lewis is a British actor, so they probably prefer him over Adrian Brody that year for Gangs of New York. That is a really good performance as well. I mean, he's one of the best actors living today. So I was thinking, like, maybe they make up for that loss for The Pianist and Adrian Brody by putting him in for The Brutalist, which is a top contender for best film here at BAFTA. But And then I had Coleman Domingo at number 4, and then Sebastian Stan at number 5 for The Apprentice because it is a biopic. But I'm going with something different here. I think a lot of folks were saying for SAG, I think a lot of folks are saying SAG, that is Timothy Chalamet's best chance. And I just feel like I disagree. We'll see what happens after BAFTA and just how I feel. I'm still debating about a lot of stuff at SAG at the moment, but I think that's what I'm going to do here because of that Austin Butler performance winning over Brendan Fraser and Colin Farrell. I mean, Colin Farrell was expected to win that night for Banshees of Inisherin. Carrie Condon had won Best Supporting Actress. Barry Keoghan came out of nowhere with the Best Supporting Actor when I loved that. He was great on stage with that speech. It was hilarious. And then they were like, okay, Best Actor's going to go to Colin Farrell. He's been sweeping all season. I mean, maybe Brendan Fraser. And then they called Austin Butler's name. And I thought to myself, okay, well, that coincides with makeup and hairstyling. Now, with the Oscars, they went with Brendan Fraser and The Whale for makeup and hairstyling. So that made sense. And we know we have this history of the Oscars giving a lead actor or actress performance coinciding with makeup and hairstyling. Now, we don't have that here this year, but I think because Timothy Chalamet is in a biopic, Bob Dylan, and it feels just like that Austin Butler performance in a way, and if I'm not mistaken, Timothy Chalamet is singing in A Complete Unknown. He's my number 1. He's winning. I don't think I'm wrong here. I think that he wins BAFTA. And he's beloved by BAFTA. He was nominated for Call Me By Your Name. It did very well at BAFTA that year. So Timothy was also nominated for Beautiful Boy. He is beloved by BAFTA. I think this is the year that he wins an award for a really great performance as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. I think that this is going to be the only award A Complete Unknown wins at BAFTA, and that's my final prediction. I have Timothy Chalamet winning Best Actor at BAFTA for A Complete Unknown. Ray Fiennes, I think it's a little bit 50-50 with this, but yeah, I have Ray Fiennes at number 2 for a Conclave as my alternate. I'm looking at the community and I just could not disagree more. I don't think that Timothy Chalamet has an 8% chance for A Complete Unknown. And I do believe that back a couple years ago that Austin Butler was also like super low on the win percentage. Even though I wasn't on this app, I'm pretty sure that no one was expecting that. That was a huge shocker. And then we were saying, oh my God, is he going to win the Oscar? Like, geez, like he could win the Oscar. Yeah, in terms of SAG, Brendan Fraser ended up winning SAG, and then we're like, okay, he won Critics' Choice, he won SAG, so he's gonna win the Oscar. And he did. So that's my final prediction. I have Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown and Ray Fiennes for Conclave as my number 2 pick. Alternate Oscars, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at SAG. Could be Adrian Brody at SAG anyway, but honestly, I see a path for Coleman Domingo as well in Sing Sing. Even Ray Fiennes. So yeah, I think Timothy Chalamet's best chance is here at BAFTA. And if he doesn't win, I'll be surprised. Yeah, I'll be very surprised. So let's move on to Best Actress. Yeah, I think that's it's gonna be Demi Moore. I think that she gets the BAFTA here. At SAG, I'm not so sure. But you know what? I have Marianne Jean Baptiste as my number 2 in a possible upset here. A few years ago, there was Joanne Scanlon that won for After Love, and that was kind of a shock. I mean, that was a weird year though, because there was no Jessica Chastain, there was no Nicole Kidman, and those were kind of like the two that were kind of competing that year, I believe. For Eyes of Tammy Faye, for Being the Ricardos. There was also another actress that was promising, Kristen Stewart and Spencer, but that never felt like it was going to happen, even though they were sweeping the critics circles and the critics groups and all those associations were just like, we love you and Spencer. And then she missed a lot of precursor nominations, including at BAFTA, which was, maybe they didn't appreciate Spencer. Who knows? I mean, they're very picky about the portrayal of Princess Diana, of the Queen. and it's very obvious why they didn't nominate her, but she was definitely being nominated for the Oscar. Now, this is why I think Marianne Jean-Baptiste has a path to win the BAFTA, but I just have her at number 2 for now. And number 3, I'm going to put Mikey Madison. I'm going to have Saoirse Ronan at number 5 and Carla Sofia Gascon at number 6 for obvious reasons. So I'm saving that. My final prediction for Best Actress at BAFTA this year is Demi Moore for The Substance, with Marianne Jean-Baptiste coming right behind her for Chartreuse. Watch out. She could win. She could definitely win here. The community is saying Demi Moore, Mikey Madison. Saoirse Ronan last for the outrun. I don't think she's last. I think there's no way that, well, this is 0% win for both, so that's fine. But I think that Marianne Jean-Baptiste has a much higher win rate than 8%. No, she has about a 28% maybe. And then Mikey Madison, 22%, I would say. Yeah, Demi Moore, I think, is a 50%. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, so my final prediction is Demi Moore for The Substance, winning Best Actress at BAFTA. Marianne Jean-Baptiste, maybe she surprises. She's my alternate. If Mikey Madison wins, I think that, you know, I think that she's going to be getting the Rising Star Award personally, even though that's voted on by the public and we have Marissa Abella there. I just think that British folks hated that movie, so I don't see her getting that win. It could be someone else, but I think Mikey Madison is going to win the Rising Star Award. But if she wins at BAFTA for Best Actress, watch out. You know, she could be a serious Oscar contender, but I think Fernanda Torres is a possible winner an Oscar. I saw her performance and it was absolutely insane. I mean, okay. Anyway, yeah. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, folks, let's talk about Best Director. Now, this is another one I was struggling with. Does lightning strike twice? Do we give Edward Berger his second BAFTA alongside Best Film for Conclave, just like we did with All Quiet on the Western Front? Is BAFTA pissed that he wasn't nominated for an Oscar? Maybe. I was having him at number 1 for quite a bit. This was my order. I had Conclave, Edward Berger number 1, Corbett for number 2, Sean Baker for Anora. I had Jacques Audiard for Amelia Present number 4, Denis Villeneuve at number 5 for Dune Part 2, and Coralie Fargeat for The Substance at number 6. Um, yeah, I just feel like they're gonna look at The Brutalist and be like, we need to give that Best Director. So I switched it. I'm switching it last minute. I might be wrong. I just feel like it feels weird to give Edward Berger a second BAFTA alongside Best Film because it just, and I don't see it working out the other way around where Edward Berger wins for Conclave for Best Director and Brutalist wins Best Film. I think that Brady Corbett wins Best Director here. And I might be wrong. Maybe I'll regret this decision, but my final prediction for Best Director at BAFTA is Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. My number 2 is Edward Berger for Conclave. And that is going to be my final prediction. I'm not changing it again. I'm just not. It would be cool if Sean Baker won for Anora, and then we're definitely going to see him win Best Director at the Oscars, and there's no denying it. But I think just to keep the race interesting, we're going to put Brady Corbett here. If Edward Berger wins, then I think Sean Baker wins at Oscars. But let's keep it interesting and keep Brady Corbett as the BAFTA pick for The Brutalist. Okay, final category. Before I get into that though, let's talk about 2 other things I have predictions for. It's like very, very quick. There's a couple categories. British short animation. I have Wander to Wonder here. It was nominated for Oscar, so I'm keeping that as the winner. And then British short film. Just the one that I see that is like the most talked about is Marion. So my final predictions there are Marion and Wander to Wonder. Yeah, so that's what I'm predicting. It's not on the Words Expert app, but that's what I'm predicting there. Best British film. I think that Kneecap has a huge chance of winning here. Conclave is right there with it. And I'm really struggling about what will win. but it just feels like a three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri kind of year. And I know that doesn't make sense to anyone, but it's an ensemble drama. So I'm putting Conclave at number one, and I have Kneecap at number two. I have Hard Truths at number three, just because it wasn't longlisted for best film. And then for the remaining, I mean, it doesn't really matter because I don't see. I mean, I think number four, I'm gonna put Wallace and Gromit. Let's put Wallace and Gromit. Let's put Wallace and Gromit at number four, and then let's see what else. Number five, I have Blitz. For number six, I have The Outrun here. For number seven, I have Love Lies Bleeding. Number eight, I have Bird. Number nine, I have Gladiator 2, and number 10, I have Lee. Yeah, I don't see Lee winning at all. So my final prediction for Best British Film this year is Conclave. Kneecap could win. Belfast won Best British Film, but I think Kneecap is a little bit different. It's a little bit more I wouldn't say controversial, but it's more intense. The subject matter is a little bit more provocative, let's just say. I think that, but it has a chance. But I think it's just like one of those years that, like the King's Speech, like Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, it could be that kind of year. Now, there was, what was that one year? The year that I can think of that um would be comparable is that Atonement won Best Film back when it was nominated, and then This Is England won Best British Film. So I think that that could be something that happens this year with Best Film, Conclave, Best British Film, Kneecap. But I see the debut being for Kneecap and not Best British Film. So I'm gonna leave Conclave as my final prediction for Best British Film of the Year with Kneecap as a close number two. And I think the community agrees with me. Yeah. They just have Blitz above Wallace and Gromit, but no. I think Wallace and Gromit is more beloved than Blitz and over across the pond. Okay, we're going to our final category, Best Film. Now, yeah, I was struggling with this one as well. I had The Brutalist for quite some time, but I just feel like they're gonna give it to Conclave. It just feels right. Um, Of course, Anora's not winning. The last time you would have to go back to like what was the last film that won best film that wasn't like a serious drama? La La Land, but that also was the front runner for best picture for quite some time, and Moonlight was like right below it. So and there was also a musical, and it was about Hollywood. And then before that, I think the last time that a film that was not a serious drama that won, you got to go back to Shakespeare in Love. Yeah, I think that that was a different time. I think that was a big studio film, and also it takes place in the UK. First of all, I'm not having a Nora win Best Picture or Best Film here at BAFTA. It's for obvious reasons. We had Revenant win over Spotlight. I mean, Spotlight is more of a drama, but it's like an ensemble-ish, like kind of quirky one. And Revenant, let's just say Revenant was like that very serious drama cinematic triumph. So I could see like that being more The Brutalist and Conclave being more like Spotlight. But that was when I was thinking like, oh, maybe Brutalist gonna win. But that just shows you Nora's not gonna win here. Also, what's some other films? The Power of the Dog, for example, winning. Oppenheimer over Poor Things, which won Best British Film. All Quiet over Everything Everywhere All at Once. 1917 over Parasite. Roma over Green Book and The Favorite. Boyhood over Birdman. And The Pianist over Chicago. I think it's just inevitable that we don't have a Nora winning Best Film at BAFTA. I think everyone agrees with me. I think that we have Amelia Perez at number four. So I number one, two, three, four, five. I have Conclave, The Brutalist, Anora, Amelia Perez, and A Complete Unknown. And yeah, I'm kind of nervous, right? I think there's a real chance that The Brutalist could win and Conclave win Best British Film. But I think that they just love Edward Berger too much. They're not going to give him Best Director. They're going to give it to Corbett. And my final prediction for Best Film at BAFTAs this year is Conclave with The Brutalist as my alternate. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay. I like both films about equally as much, I would say. Anora is my favorite film of the year, so I'd rather that win, but I can't back it up. I can't back it up here. I have Conclave as winning not only best film, but also best British film. And I think that makes sense. So saving that, I think the community is saying Brutalist, but no, I think Conclave is going to win this year. All right, folks, that wraps up my predictions for the BAFTA winners this year. What do you guys think? Is The Brutalist winning best film? Is Conclave winning best film? Is director and film matching? Are we going to go with Corbett and Brutalist? Are we going with Berger and Conclave? Does lightning strike twice there with Conclave and Berger? I don't know. I just feel like I'm feeling something really strong about Conclave. It got the most nominations, so I think that it wins Best Film. I just don't know about Best Director this year. I think we have to award Corbett something major at precursors that's not Golden Globes, because we need to encourage him to keep making films that are these huge epic films that resemble those of the 70s and early 80s. He can be an amazing auteur creative that continues to make great films. So I think encouraging that is really important. Do we think that Kieran Culkin is going to lose at BAFTA to like Guy Pearce or Yura Borisov? Am I insane for saying Yura Borisov wins at BAFTA? If you comment, you're probably going to say yeah. Oh, by the way, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe on my channel. Let me know what you think. Furthermore, what do we think about Amelia Perez? What do we think about animated film? Do you guys really think that Wild Robot's gonna win Best Animated Film? I think Wallace and Gromit has a better chance. No, yeah, I have Flow winning Best Animated Film. And how do we feel about Kneecap? Did anyone see Kneecap? I saw Kneecap, and I think that actually, I was surprised that it didn't get into Best Film a little bit. I didn't predict it. I had Dune Part 2, but I had Complete Unknown at like number 7. I had Kneecap over A Complete Unknown, so that surprises me. What do we think about Ralph Fiennes versus Timothée Chalamet? Is Adrian Brody just the clear frontrunner all year? I mean, does Timothée Chalamet win at SAG and then maybe the Oscar? But yeah, what do you guys think about that? I mean, I was like, okay, Ralph Fiennes is winning all the way up into like last night. I was like, you know what? Austin Butler did win for Elvis, so I'm gonna go with Timothée Chalamet. With Screenplay, what do we think about the substance? Is it really just getting actress and makeup? Or do we believe in Coralie Fargeat at all at British Academy? I don't know. Like, I would be more inclined if substance was in Best Film, but yeah, I'm very doubtful about original screenplay and director there. Let me know what you think about Better Man in visual effects. I think it's a very, very, very big possibility it could win, just for British Academy to be like, let's put something on this film. But yeah, those are my predictions for BAFTA. And let me know what you guys think below in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, whatever you feel inclined to do so. I will be seeing you at the movies. I'll be seeing you on Sunday as live reaction to the BAFTA ceremony. I am so excited to see who wins. I think that if Yura Borisov wins Best Supporting Actor, he's not going to. I think it doesn't go to Guy Pearce maybe, but it could be Kieran Culkin, who knows. Anyway, my name is Siobhan Evert. This is Screws Obsession. I'm logging off for now. I'll see you at the movies. I'll see you at the BAFTAs. Well, not at the ceremony, but live. I am doing that live reaction live on YouTube. Can't wait to see you there. Bye for now.